Little easier, okay? And let's just cover this so we know with both categories. What touches the wound bed is called the primary dressing, okay? So whatever physically adheres to the wound bed, that's the primary dressing. Whatever covers the wound bed is the secondary, okay? So with a dry wound bed, let's say that this was dry, we need to add moisture, okay? And we do that most commonly with this product, which this is hydrogel, okay? I mentioned this briefly on Tuesday. I said my experience, hydrogel-based solutions, this is an aqueous solution with a combination of collagen. Do you guys remember when I said that? I said what? They're junk, unless it's bovine, right? So the synthetic variations of collagen-infused like hydrogel, it's trash. It doesn't really do anything, and you just pay more money for it. So if you want to feel what this feels like, give me the back of your hand. Okay, it's an aqueous solution, and we would add this. Yeah, rub it in. It's just water. It's water based. Okay.
Weird.
You want some or no?
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Wait, can I get some more?
Yeah. Anyone else?
It's not this bad.
Yo, this man's
not
out here
sticky.
using it as a lotion. It's
Yeah, just
aqueous.
water.
Yeah. All right, so you guys ready?
Yeah.
So this is hydrogel, okay? So we would add this in copious amounts. Feel free to use. This is like 10 cents a bottle, right? Cheap stuff. Squirt that baby up in there, okay? Get inside the tunneling, get under the undermining. You want that wound bed moist, okay? A key principle of moisture, okay? If you have an overly dry wound bed, what are you doing to the potential underlying tissue structure? You're leading or you're causing what? Necrosis, okay? If you leave muscle exposed and muscle is not moist, that muscle is going to die. You leave bone you leave bone dry, right? Just like you hear the term bone dry, that bone's gonna die. And it's gonna necrose and it's gonna potentially become infected. So any of the underlying structures that are exposed, you are definitely using a hell of a lot of moisture, okay? So that would be if I have a dry wound bed. I wanna add hydrogel. Now let's just cover this. So everybody kind of come in tight, okay? This is a unique wound because I have undermining and tunneling. So what we would do is we would add all that moisture and then, it shouldn't give me, oh, should have given me through right there, okay? I would saturate this with saline and some hydrogel, okay? The principle is I need to trick the body into believing that this space is occupied, okay? In order to do that, what do? We fluff, we fluff. So fluff, not stuff. That's a key term in wound care. So you don't want to really stuff that in, but I have to tell the body that it's space occupied in order for it to continue to granulate, okay? So keep in mind, I have undermining and tunneling. The undermining, I'm good. I can get in some 2x2s and some 3x3s. The tunneling, I'm going to need to use what? Some packing strips, okay? So packing strips, I would use with my cotton tip applicator. It would come out, right? So it comes out of the bottle, just like this, right? And I would just cut an end, okay? And then straight from the bottle, I would just take this with my tunnel here, right? And then once again, same principle, okay? So I'm gonna take this and I'm going to fluff, and this would be saturated. I want this saturated in hydrogel and saline as well, okay? So as it's coming out, I'm fluffing. As I start to feel it kind of begin to bulk up, I stop. I'm gonna cut it, and then that packing strip is physically in the tunnel, okay?
Are you doing this every time the wound gets soiled?
So that comes down to your determination based upon whether or not the inside also was soiled as well.
But if it is, you would
100% gotta redo it.
Sounds good.
So,
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, is this different from the wet to dry method because you're not putting something dry on top?
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of feels like you would end up doing the same thing,
Everything-
taking out the.
Everything that goes in has to be saturated,
Okay.
has to be moistened. If you put anything directly dry into that, it's going to, unless, what would be the rule to that, or kind of the rule of thumb? So if I have a highly wet wound, exactly. If I have a highly exudated wound, I've got copious drainage, doesn't really matter. That wound is going to saturate the dressing either way.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to get there. I want to control some of the moisture. but we wouldn't use gauze. I'll show you what we're about to use. Did you have a question, Josh?
How about so I know that like you're putting like this
Packing
same
strips?
packing strips and make sure there's moisture because it's dry. Would you do the same if it was like a dry abscess also from like a wound or something?
An abscess,
'Cause,
I
like-
made
sorry.
you, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like what I've seen, like what I've like at the clinical site, there was a guy who had like an abscess in his genital urinary area. We're packing it, but I remember not seeing him. It was dry, but I did not see him put any like hydrogel or anything. So I didn't.
So I can't answer that question because I would need to assess the wound. Was the wound draining? Was it not?
It wasn't draining.
You know, was there purulent? You know,
No purulent.
exudate? So all those things I would need to know.
Okay.
But yeah, you wouldn't necessarily want to pack that in with any dry gauze.
Okay.
Because those gauze are going to adhere to healthy tissue. No matter which, it's going to integrate with healthy tissue.
Okay.
And then the next time you come in, it's going to be, you're going to be taking off healthy granulation.
Okay.
Elena?
So you're gonna put hydrogel in it and get it moist, and then as you're putting those packing strips in, you're gonna hydrogel those at the same time?
No, I would basically saturate this in saline before I packed it.
Got it.
And then I would add some hydrogel inside of that tunnel,
Got it.
inside first, then pack. So I'm creating a moistened environment. Everybody good with that? The remainder of this wound, I would continue to fluff. I gotta fill that whole wound bed. Then I cover with a secondary dressing. Hold the thoughts on secondary dressings. I'll mention here briefly, packing strips come in different shapes, sizes, products. I don't know why this is like a California thing. Maybe it's just a SoCal thing. When I left Rhode Island, we used to use a product called Iodosorb very routinely. Iodine is a very, very good, natural substance. And I don't want to say whether it's bacteriostatic or bactericidal. So I'd have to look back. You guys can take a look at it. It might actually have multiple, utilizations, but iodine's a really good product that can be used to reduce the bioburden and help to treat the bioburden within a wound. So Iodosorb is an iodine saturated packing strip, and then it also comes in a cream variant as well. But in Rhode Island, I was using iodine a lot. And the unique thing about iodine, similar to honey and silver, is still to date, there's no microbial resistance. So it's like one of those things, like once again, I don't want to get spiritual religious on you, but whether you believe in a creator, like some of these natural substances don't have any, microbial resistance to date. To me, that tells me something. It's like, it's quite unique. But iodine's a really good product.
It's used
Okay.
a lot in the vet field.
It is. Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. Yep, absolutely, because it's cheap and easy. Yeah, as both an irrigant and cleansing. Yeah, iodine's, and you'd use betadine
But
mostly.
yeah.
Yeah, but iodine's really good stuff. Okay? Yep.
And what is your preferable product instead of this?
So hydrogels in general, this is from Valley Press, so they have Medline products. I'll have a preference in hydrogel. As long as they're all aqueous solutions.
But any other solution or gels that you can use? Like,
No, just for moisture purpose, you're always gonna use hydrogel.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, you guys good with the dry?
Yeah.
Let's go to wet. Okay, it's gonna be a little different. Okay, because now I'm going to use a product, and actually, hang on, let me go back to dry real quick because I see what else she gave me and I forgot. So the other thing about the dry, so let's say we added the hydrogel. Okay, we may actually use another primary dressing, which I would actually recommend that you do consider, and that would be Adaptic, which come in both of these variations. So go ahead and open that and pass it around. Okay, you can do one here in the middle. Okay, so Adaptic is a petroleum saturated gauze. Okay.
It's like, what do you
It's a vaseline.
Okay, so Adaptic is a petroleum saturated gauze. So now think about this, right? Yeah, of course. Pass it around. So if I have a gauze that is saturated in petroleum, right? That's absolutely going to maintain its moisture. Okay, so that's actually, I forgot to mention, Adaptic is a really good primary dressing with dry wounds, because that right there, okay, that's going to reduce any adherence to clean and healthy tissue. Okay.
So you would do that instead of the gauze?
Yes, good job, Edith. So I would add the hydrogel, and then I would take that and apply it all the way to the base of the wound bed.
Okay.
Add a little more gel on top if needed, and then fluff the wound. So that is what would touch the wound bed.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat that?
The Adaptic would be the primary dressing. Remember, the primary dressing touches the wound bed. I would use the Adaptic.
And for wet or dry?
Dry. Okay? You guys good? Now, go ahead, Elena.
For a dry one, could you still use saline,
Burning plastic.
hydrogel if you didn't have all that?
If I,
This-
go
If
ahead.
you had a dry one, could you still
That would be for
do your other method
Yeah.
if you didn't have that available?
Like everything I said before we got to this,
Yeah.
yes, you could.
Okay.
Yep. But this is still preferential.
Yeah.
I forgot. Adaptic for me with dry wounds as a primary dressing to a wound bed is the best way to go. Okay? There's one other product that is another saturated type gauze. So this is called Xeroform, and you may have seen it. So Miss Smell good over here. Wait till you smell this one. Okay? Some people
What does that smell like?
Vaseline.
That's just petroleum. It says it on the.
no, it just smells like almost like a petroleum, like true
Yes.
petroleum. Yeah.
There's petroleum on here.
Yeah, well, it's petroleum saturated, but this smells like a petroleum
I
barrel.
didn't get the wrapping.
Yeah, that smells like straight up petroleum.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like when you put Vaseline
I
on
have it
your.
at the house.
Hopefully not that bad. All right, so this is Xeroform, right? So this Xeroform, okay, this is saturated in both petroleum and then so this used to be bismuth subsalicylate, okay, which you may have seen that product. Have you ever used what's the pink stuff when you have like poison ivy or itching?
Calamine.
Calamine lotion has bismuth in it, right? Bismuth subsalicylate. This particular product is actually bismuth tribemofemate, right? So it's gonna be, it's gonna be a bismuth substitute. This comes out yellow, okay? So for
Not
Miss
pink?
Smell good over here, smell this one. People either like the smell, it's very like sterile. When I smell this, I'm like, this smells like a sterile environment. It's like, oh, this literally smells like you're in a freaking like a morgue or something. That just smells very sterile.
What's it called?
That's Xeroform with an X.
I
Smell it
love
already.
Oh yeah.
Okay? So look,
Smell it already.
so that right there, that Xeroform, that's an antimicrobial. So I could use that for a wound that was at risk of infection.
Smell it over here.
Look at this guy. I could use that as a primary. I could use that as a primary dressing.
It's toy. It smells like
Everybody good with that? Adaptic and Xeroform.
What is it mixed with again?
It's a bismuth substitute. That's what causes the antimicrobial effect, and that's why it's yellow. It's petroleum and bismuth.
So would you use that as a primary or secondary?
That would be a primary dressing.
Okay.
That adheres to the wound bed. You guys, can you pass the guys? It smells like a wine sample.
you know that first and then the paint.
Yeah, it's very sterile. All right, everybody good on dry.
Yeah.
Going to wet, okay? So none of those products, no hydrogel. We need to control moisture. We do that two ways. Primarily, and the cheapest way to do that is through alginate, okay? So alginate right here, this product initially was created based upon the cellular function of seaweed, okay? So who's ever pulled seaweed out of the ocean?
Yeah.
Okay? What happens is, what does it feel like first and foremost?
Slimy.
Slimy and gel-like, right? But what is it not doing? It's not dripping, okay? You ever notice that about seaweed?
Yeah.
So all of that gel within the matrix structure of that seaweed, it absorbs moisture, okay? That's what this product is, okay? So this product, it comes out, or it begins very, very dry, almost like a Brillo pad or something, and this would become gel-like once it absorbs the exudate, okay? And this dressing, sorry Josh, right? This dressing as well is often infused with silver, okay?
And this one's for a wet.
Wet. Okay, so everybody get it? Okay, so with alginate is used to absorb. Okay, so that's type number one. There are other synthetic dressings that are much better than that are highly absorptive. Okay, and what they would do differently, Carl, let me say it real quick. Okay, when this is in here, the good thing about this is once wet, it's going to turn to a gel, but that's still going to be moisture. Okay. The synthetic dressings, what they do is you would apply as a primary, and they have a very unique property where, like a diaper, they absorb the drainage and they pull to the back. Okay, so if I was to take the synthetic out and touch it, it's dry to touch. So for highly exudated wounds, that's really good because it doesn't maintain moisture on the wound bed itself. But this will turn into a gel.
Question.
Yep.
All right, so you're putting that in there.
Yep.
But it's flat, so it's not filling that wound bed.
So I can use more than one.
Oh, so you're just like
Or cut it up. Or cut it up.
packing it. You're
Yep.
filling the wound with.
If I have a highly exudative wound with the alginate root, I'm cutting it or I'm fluffing with alginate.
Okay, so instead
Yes.
of gauze, now we're using.
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Do we use it like this?
Okay, so
or do we
hang on.
use it like this?
So Nicole brought back the adapting. So Nicole, show everybody what you just did. So when you open the package, it just opens up.
Well, it's like folded.
Nicole, use the scissors.
No, I know, but my question
So do you use it layer upon layer?
do you use it like
You would
this?
no, use it
Or
as a
use it
single
like
layer.
this?
Single layer.
Okay.
That, I got you.
Which one came first?
Everybody good? Any questions?
Can we see, like, you said it turns into a
Do
gel?
you want to see it?
Yeah. can
Like
you
that.
wet
Jacob, go wet that, please. Go wet it this thing. You should. Wet it, Jacob. Yeah, sure.
it and then smell it?
Squeeze it out.
It looks kind of jelly.
Like slimy.
Is it sliming up?
It's gonna get bigger.
It turns more gel-like over time. Yeah. Go ahead and pass. I mean, he's squirting juices.
You want to touch it.
Go ahead and pass it around.
But when I squeeze it, it did feel like gel.
Yeah,
like this
it will
molded
turn into a gel.
hand.
All right, everybody good with that?
Down into a gel or it keeps its form?
It's gonna keep its form.
Oh,
Genevieve.
okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for exudative dressings. Okay, Christina, you good?
Yeah.
I gotta finish this. Okay, so we still have only covered primary dressings. We haven't talked about how we cover the wound. Okay, so those are all primary options. Everybody good? Okay. Now, if I was using honey, other products, I might integrate those products with this use. Okay. Key piece: if I had silver infused alginate, silver, okay, deactivates collagenase. That's a key point to write down for those of you taking notes.
Thank you.
So do not use silver if you're using collagenase as an enzymatic debrider. It deactivates it. Okay, so now I'm here. So I've added anything I need inside the wound. My primary dressings I fluffed. Now I need to begin to prepare and prep the peri wound so I can cover. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skin prep my peri wound with a skin prep barrier wipe. Su Young, you're gonna do that, okay? Su Young, open this wipe and I want you to just wipe the peri wound. Go ahead, Su Young. And you guys are gonna see it's gonna create just a nice film. You can kind of already start to see it form. Just let it dry, Su Young, you're good. So you would let that dry, okay? In that, so now when the goal there is it's adding a film. So that's a skin barrier. You can put it down, Su Young, I don't need it, right? Right? So let that dry. It adds a small barrier film so that when I apply the tape to the peri wound, it protects the peri wound. You guys with me? Okay? You good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay? So with that, here, how we cover this. That is also going to depend on what we talked about, the two different things. Whether what? I'm exudative or whether I'm
Dry.
okay. So there are different types of dressings that are secondary in nature and sometimes primary. Foam dressings are probably the most commonly utilized dressings on the market because, in all due respect, we work with a bunch of ignorant people. And foam dressings are overutilized by far because it's easy, it's adhesive, it covers things, and you walk away. It's like, this would be like, what's that? Set it and forget it. From the old infomercials, my 90s folks, right? Set it and forget it, right? This, you don't want it overutilized.
Is that a Mepolec? Is that what they would consider?
So Mepilex is a brand, but Mepilex would be a
that that?
foam. It would be a foam. Yep. Challenge with foam